Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Corey Davidson, and welcome to our channels where we talk about everything mystical, magical, spiritual, and we share our experience on all that we know on tons of topics concerning energy, spirituality, all of the above. So today, our topic that we're going to talk about is psychic defense. And I'm so grateful to have these ladies here all together. We're going to start with Yaila today. Yaila, what have you got on psychic defense?
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Yaila Weddle, and psychic defense is one of those topics that a lot of my new students and clients, I think, get really worried about or concerned about. Because as we are starting to evolve in our awareness, our consciousness, understanding what's our energy and other people's energy, we heighten our senses even more. We've actually had some previous videos where we've talked about this. And so as you are learning to navigate energy for yourself and in your own space and with other people, sometimes we start to notice other energies out there, whether it's directly from someone else, it's energy from a past trauma popping up in our own space, old patterns, shadow self, whatever it might be. Whatever it might be, we are sometimes falling into default in old ways of being. And sometimes we actually feel like there is invasive energy coming into our space. And so when I think of psychic defense, what I think of is, how do you navigate those invasive energies in your own space? And what does that actually look like, feel like, sound like? How do you even know? And so for me, the number one thing, and I've shared it in previous videos, curiosity and amusement are your superpowers. I call them my superpowers, and they are the powers I try to instill in my students and my clients. And when you are feeling an old trauma pop up or some old energy, or somebody's kind of going into their old default ways with you that you know in the past hasn't always worked, and it feels very intrusive in your space, number one is to fill yourself with amusement, however that looks. Like, I imagine a big, huge golden sun above my head. I add in the color of amusement, whatever color that is for you. You can create whatever color, you can put the word. I feel a certain vibration when I feel I'm amused. And so I bring in that frequency into the sun, and I just imagine it cracking open and just flooding my entire space. And so I can look at kind of the silliness of it from my own side, and then the silliness of it from the other person's side. And amusement just kind of helps me get that higher perspective, because amusement is just, it's a higher vibration than some of the old guilt, shame, blame patterning that can happen with when you feel like you are being intruded on or attacked in an energetic way. So that's one thing I would say as far as defending your energy is, flood yourself with amusement. Really look at those places that are, what's kind of funny about it, where can you bring in some lightness, and then also where can you look at it through the lens of love. Many times when people are kind of attacking, so to speak, it's coming from a hurt place within themselves, fear, blame, their own shame, their own guilt, their own grief. Some of these quote unquote lower vibrations we learn a lot from. And so when you can come from that lens of love and amusement, you'll be able to kind of rise out of that lower vibration. Something else I'll say to psychic defense before I pass it over is, we can actually feel when energy is thrown at us. And what I mean by that is, when you're driving down the street, or maybe a car cuts you off, or something happens and somebody kind of reacts in a strong way, flips you off, yells at you, says something derogatory, they're literally throwing energy at your space. Same thing, you can still flood yourself with amusement. You can just imagine that energy either going past your shoulder and squashing up against the wall, or you can literally collect it into a bubble and explode it out of your space. But you really have a lot of say as far as what energy is in your space and what is not in your space. And so when you want to defend yourself on a psychic level, just know you always have control. It doesn't matter. I've read stuff on, social media and online about hexes and curses and how do I break that? The truth is, if you are not vibrating at a frequency where that energy can match into, you will not have it in your space. You are senior of your space. And you've heard us say this before, but you really do control the energy you want to keep in your space and not. And so those places, situations, interesting situations, when I've done like house healings, business healings, healings for people, clients and students, what I'm really doing as an energy reader and healer is helping them own their own space, be senior in their space, and move out any energy that's not vibing at where they want to be in that moment. So you always have a choice when it comes to defending your energy psychically. So I'll pause it there and I'll push it over to Peyton. How about you? What would you like to say about psychic defense?
Thanks, Yaila. Hey, y'all, I'm Peyton. I love the way you teed this conversation up, Yaila, because you use the words invasive energy. And I think that's just the perfect way to look at this. Because when I think about psychic defense, I'm thinking about how do we handle energy coming at us that we just don't like. It doesn't feel good, it's not ours, it's someone else's. And so for me, what I always come back to is psychic defense, or being able to hold your space, is just all about mastering your energy. It's about mastering your bubble, and knowing that you are always the boss of your energy. And the more you can hold your own frequency, the less any energy that comes at you, whether, as you were talking about, Yaila, people throwing energy, which we do all the time, even when we try not to do it. It's just something we do as humans without thinking about it. And so the more you can control your own space, the less that energy will affect you, the less you will need to defend yourself. But it is always good, I think, to have some basic tools to just help you hold your space, no matter what comes at you at life. And especially, people are a little triggered right now, things are a little spicy out in the world. And it's more important than ever that we as light workers be able to hold, I just think of it as being able to hold like a safe zone around yourself, so that no matter what happens, how crazy things are around you, you are in just a bubble of peace. Because as Yaila mentioned, energy cannot stick to you or affect you in any way unless you are matching it at some level of your being. And so that's what the guides will always say. If you are not in an energy of anger and fear can't stick to you, and it can't manifest in your life. So this is where your mastery comes in. And we've talked in so many of our past videos about energy protection tools, which are a great way to protect and hold your space. But we also talked in our seniority video about how you are the master of your space, and no one can create in your zone except you. But I do think it is really helpful, especially when people are just starting out on this path, when you're a little newer with your intuitive skills. Having some energetic protection measures around you can be really helpful, because as sensitives, we tend to absorb a lot. And a lot of us who are on this path are empaths and sensitives. And so it can be particularly easy for us to be little sponges out in the world where we're just soaking up the crazy. And that's just not a good zone to be in right now. So having some tools, and check out our previous videos where we really go into detail on some of those, would be the first step for me. But the other thing that my guides have led me to recently that I am finding is so fascinating and so useful is to actually program your energy field to protect itself. And so what the guides have been giving me is telling me to program my Merkaba, which is our energy field, our light body, to actually keep out any invasive lower vibrational energies. Because we're not really dealing now just with energy coming at us from other people who might be angry or afraid. We have so many environmental energies coming at us. We have the CMEs, we have the solar flares, we have those things that a lot of light workers are concerned with, like 5G technologies. There are environmental energies that can be detrimental to your space. And so I have been working with programming my Merkaba to keep those energies out. And you can program your energy field, your Merkaba, much like you can a crystal. You have your energy field working to keep these invasive energies out. And I can't tell you guys how much I notice a difference when I do this, when I actually program my Merkaba to do the work for me. And you can put infinite programs in your Merkaba so that you can have it keep out anything you want it to screen out. And so some of the things that I have been playing with are having it keep out other people's energy, to keep out any energy that is not based in love. And so anything that comes at me that is not based in love, you can program your energy field to screen that out. So it doesn't even get into you to affect you. And another thing that I've been doing is using it to protect me from environmental things. We're living in such a kind of toxic, polluted world right now. And so screening out some of these low frequencies, whether it is toxins or viruses or energies, radiations, anything that is not that is not helpful to you, your energy field can help protect you against that, is what the guides have been teaching me lately. And it is really strong and really powerful. So I have just been playing with that to just have your energy field support you. And it's just another way to look at your energy protection. But you have this incredible tool that we didn't know could do some of this work for us. So that's one of the things that I'm playing with right now, and finding that it takes a lot of the heavy lifting away from me. So that's one thing that you can play with in addition to your energy protection tools. But the most important thing is to find something that works for you and to use it, because your frequency, being able to hold your energy, your vibration, no matter what is going on, is what determines your timeline. So it's so important for us as light workers right now not to be kind of batted around by everything that's going on around us, because things are a little chaotic. And so, you know, having some defensive tools or some tools to just hold that space around you can keep your energy much more stable all throughout the day. So just being the boss of your energy, setting your frequency to what you want it to be, you can kind of set your energy like a thermostat. And if you keep bringing yourself to love, to joy, to peace, you'll hold that so much more often. And then nothing can stick to you unless it matches your frequency, because you are always the boss. So that's kind of how I look at psychic defense and energy, protection measures. How about you, Corey?
Thank you, ladies. It never ceases to amaze me that, because we're in touch often, the three of us, and how when we do these videos that, whatever each other talk about, it's like, oh yeah, I do that. Oh yeah, I do that too. Because energetically, we're always communicating, even if we're not actually speaking to one another. It's such a gift. So, psychic defense, the visual I have in my mind, the first thing was, is when I first met Peyton, she was talking about how she does martial arts. And so, and actually in person, she has this natural stance, right? And it's a vibration and an energy that's like, oh, don't mess with her, And when I think of that, psychic defense, it's like martial arts defense, where it's like you're in martial arts and the energy comes at you and you just flow, and let it go, just past you instead of fighting it. That's the first visual I had. And then the next visual I had was like the movie The Matrix, where Keanu Reeves, all that energy is coming at him and he just slowly, tips back. And in psychic defense, it's not fighting the energy, it's recognizing that it's not your energy. That's the first thing, is recognizing that it's not your energy. And I too is going to talk about all the other videos that we have. When we talk about psychic defense, first of all, it's recognizing what's your energy and what's not your energy. That's the first step. And as our frequencies raise, as we're going along this this journey, this spiritual journey, we're changing all the time. So I loved how, like Peyton, you were talking about, that, setting your, I call it Merkaba, whatever it is, your auric field as to not allowing certain energies in. But if you don't know how your aura is, which we have so many videos and they're so great. And so when we talk about certain things, know that if you don't understand it, you can look at all of our libraries that we have, and there will be a video about that. So psychic defense, yeah, you said it's like a mastery, and putting that energetic, keeping, setting your energetic field to keep out certain energies. And, I do that too. And I find what works for me. And one thing I have recognized is that it can change. I might have, don't allow this, that. When I first started this journey, I always brought in Archangel Michael, and I still do. But that what I knew at the time was asking Archangel Michael to come in and protect my energy and only allow love in and love out. And it does change, as situations change, as environments change. And we are in times that are just like, woof, it's strong energy. And so psychic defense for me was, and is on a daily basis. It's something that I do every day. I don't walk out of the house without it, my psychic defense, not setting energy, our energy field and our bubbles, with the energy that we, that helps us, makes ourselves be comfortable in our own field by keeping the energies that we don't like or are uncomfortable to us out of our energetic field. And it is actually very empowering because we are the masters of our own minds and our own bodies and our own energetic fields. And everything is energy, and being able to work with it. And psychic defense right now it's important. So yes, I'll put a bubble around me, only allowing certain energies in. I do that with my home as well. When I see some clients sometimes that come to my home, I set the house only, not love or above. It can't come in the house. And it's important. It's really important to keep our energetic field clean. And psychic defense, I feel like I am like a psychic martial artist, that defense, not fighting it, just working with the energy, so that it just goes right by me. There's another tool that I know all three of us ladies know, and it's called Body of Glass, which allows everything to go through. And it depends upon where you're at in your journey as to what tools you'll use for that psychic defense. And I know for me, right now, it's that, I set my aura and a bubble, around me at a certain frequency, because, when you set your energy, certain energies can't get in. And when your vibration is running at a certain frequency, the energies can't get in. So I love, Yaila and Peyton, that, you were talking about love. Love is one of the highest frequencies, that and gratitude, And so, yes, I loved it, Yaila, when, in situations that are chaotic, bring in that joy, bring in that amusement. I have also found that at times when I do that, I keep it to myself and not be too outwardly joyful if the situations are heightened, because it makes people mad. I've really pissed people off by being too joyful and too happy. So sometimes it's our own little psychic defense, little inner secret that we keep to ourselves to work through it. But it does stay away, you know. In the beginning, there was also another tool that, and occasionally, you know, I'll use it, is, you know, if people were just too close, not that they, you know, their energy was, well, it didn't, obviously didn't match mine, but I just spread out my aura a little bit wider and a little bit wider. And it's amazing. People will just kind of move away from me. That's a type of psychic defense. And so I do love this topic. And it's a much needed tool. And there's so many ways to do it. Just find what resonates with you and use your imagination. That's what's so wonderful about working with energy. The bigger your imagination, the bigger your curiosity, those become your superpowers. And anything is possible, you know, working with energy. So ladies, anything else to add to this?
Well, I think what I would add, and I love what you all were saying too, because it's so funny because when you all share the different things that you do, I'm like, oh yeah, I do that too. Like I've been traveling a lot this year, and 2021, I don't have to share what's been going on, as a collective, but travel and with the situation going on, it's tricky for some people. I've definitely used my Merkaba many times, as far as going in and out of countries, different testing, all of that kind of stuff. And like just putting myself in that energetic protection on the planes, stuff like that. And one of the last trips I was on, it was a group of us and several of the people got sick, at the group. And as soon as like I heard one person, I was like, whoop, Merkaba, let me just, send that around my space and just clear out anything. But the truth is, whether it's a Merkaba, expanding your aura, I mean, each of us have given you kind of a tool that you could play with. Your intention alone is what really matters. Your intention for controlling your space and owning your space and the energy that, having most of your energy in your space, knowing what is and what isn't, your intention alone is what really matters. The, logistics of what tool and when really doesn't matter. It's just what works for you, what can you remember, and what helps you really control the energy in your space.
Yeah, because it brings you back into you being your own boss and not being at the mercy of what's happening around you. And we forget that sometimes, how powerful that is. But I love the example you gave about your bubble, Corey, because this just shows how powerful these tools really are. Is that I was out to dinner with my husband a while ago, and it was way too crowded for my comfort level. Just with my sensitivity and what's going on right now. And we were outside eating on a balcony, and I started using the bubble. And, it just popped into my head, and I just started just to myself without even, telling my husband what I was doing. And all of a sudden, my husband goes, "Did you do that?" And I looked up, I had cleared the entire patio. It was empty. And it just cracked me up because I was just doing that just to just bring myself back into balance with my own energy. But these tools are so strong. You can clear a patio just with some of these tools. So, it's a matter of coming back to your own mastery and not letting situations around you maybe throw you off, especially if you're starting to feel a little uncomfortable or, you're starting to get out of alignment a little bit. Just having those go-to tools. And we've talked about so many in our videos, but it puts you back in the driver's seat. And that's where we have to stay as light workers. We don't want to give up our power to other people's energy. So we're such huge proponents of tools that I had to share that story.
Love that.
I love that. I love that. I love that story. And, and that's the whole thing. Laughter can shift energy really fast. Really the one thing that I'd like to share too is that, it really is our intention. And I've had experiences with some of my students that, they know it's the intention and they set the intention, but they don't really believe that by setting that intention that it will happen. And that's the other part of it. The other part of setting that intention is to believe that your intention will work. Because I've had not a lot, but several students that were going, "It doesn't work. I don't know. It's not working. You said," and I was like, but you don't believe it. And so that's the other component of that. You know, it is the other component of that. And like Peyton said, it's that.
I was going to say, at least being open to try, you know, if you don't 100% believe it yet, like, you know, I'm open to, you know, let it work, and, you know, it's okay.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we all probably teach our clients and our students to use these tools every day, because your mind takes a little bit of time to get to the belief. You don't necessarily believe it the first time you do it, but if you start doing it every day, your belief grows because you're reprogramming yourself. And over time, then all of a sudden you just throw up that bubble and you know no one's coming near you because you've practiced it and you've retrained your brain. But it takes a little while to get to that level of trust, which is why we always teach people do this every day, because you build your faith, you build your trust, and then you start to see the results growing over time. So be patient if you don't see it that first time. Know that you have to kind of grow into it because you're learning a new process. It's like building a new muscle. You don't have the six-pack the first sit-up you do, you know, and the same is true with your tools. You know, it takes a little while of using them, and then you start seeing the results, or other people start commenting on the results. And then you're like, dang, these actually do work. And that's when you know you've gotten to that point of belief. And then you're unstoppable, because then you're back in your power.
Yeah.
And I love that. Did you do that? Did you do that?
And I will say with amusement too, because, and I love what you said, Corey, too, as far as like, sometimes you just have amusement for yourself. And then sometimes it is more like outwardly, you learn to discern like how you share your amusement, because sometimes you going into amusement outwardly can help other people kind of drop their guard, but other times it would really offend them. So again, you know, you both always say so well, like, go through that lens of love, and if you're operating from there, what comes out is through love and what comes in is through love. And so I had one situation where I was walking home from, and this was like years ago, I was walking home from being out, and, you know, like dressed up, and I walked by this group of girls, and one of them was like, well, at least mine are real. And they're, you know, there's no enhancements here. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but she's like, well, at least mine are real. And it just made me laugh so hard, because it was like an insecurity of mine. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I were to get them, I would have gotten them like bigger. But it made me laugh so hard, because I'm like, what? Like, there's no way. And me being in pure joy and amusement about her comment, actually, she's like, oh, I like her now. And I was just like, okay, like, sure, you know, whatever. But at first she was like throwing like major shade, and then afterwards, since I just didn't take it that way, I was like, okay, then it was like all good. So, you know, there's a lot that we can shift for ourselves and for other people.
That's very true. That's very true. Okay, ladies, anything else? All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us. And we love that you watch our videos, and we love to hear your comments and your likes and your subscribes. Everything will be listed down below. And so we always have tons of videos. We will have tons of videos coming. And we'd love to hear what you would like us to talk about. What would you like to listen? You know, what do you want to learn about? Because we're here to share what we know. Well, thank you very much. Until the next one.
Bye.